Hello again everyone, it's me, Maximus, and welcome back to part 2 of Battlefield 3's Thunder Run gameplay mission. Now we're going to do a bit of an overview / review of the game itself with this mission, and if you haven't checked out my previous video where we went over the gameplay for this mission, you need to go check that out. It was a lot of fun making it. I know a lot of you are really enjoying this kind of content in terms of how the game plays for realism, and as I said in the previous video, they really nailed it on the head. This is such a great mission. So let's carry on through this game and see what it looks like in part 2 of the Thunder Run mission. So we're going to just start off here with a little bit of the tail end of the previous video's gameplay, so you can have a bit of an idea of where we left off if you haven't checked out the other video. So we've just destroyed a small fob, a HESCO fob that had some anti-tank weapons platforms in there, some vehicles that got burnt to pieces, and we are carrying on with our convoy. So let's see what we have to take on next, shall we? So, to start off with then, it's really hard to pick a nitpick at this point on this gameplay, because as I said in the previous video, it's such a great game, but there are little things that still are a little kind of strange to see. Now in this scene, it looks like the Abrams are broken into open country, so they're kind of spreading out formation a little bit, almost like a right wedge or right echelon to allow us to fire to the right-hand flank primarily, but they are very closely spaced together, which it would be really nice to just see them spread out just a little bit more, utilizing that open terrain a little bit more. Because, you know, in a realistic setting, when you've got turrets and barrels flying around all over the place, it doesn't take much for a driver to do right stick and smash that beautiful 120mm smoothbore into one of those tanks. Of course, I'm really nitpicking here. The game is not tunneled. It gives you a little bit of room, so it would be nice for them just to spread out a little bit. It's not like, you know, you're locked into one area. You do have some room to play with it. It would be nice if the AI would reciprocate that too.
Take it down, Miller. Open ground ahead. Better load Sabo. I got a dust cloud right for advance.
So this next scene is actually really cool and appeals to me because I know exactly what it's like to drive armored fighting vehicles in the open plain desert with this nasty, almost talcum powder or baby powder fine sand and dust that you get from driving these kind of vehicles across terrain, or any kind of vehicles across terrain. The sandstorms, the dust storms, it is horrible. So when you're driving them, you have to capitalize on those sighting systems if you have them to see ahead of you, because it's horrible. In the video you're seeing right now, I'm actually driving the Warrior 512 cross country. Not as much dust. The wind is in my favor, which is great. When the wind is not in your favor and you have to follow track of a vehicle in front of you, and normally in a convoy formation, you're producing, in some regard, an entire sandstorm that is near impossible to see or even breathe in. It is absolutely horrible. And I love the fact that in Battlefield 3 Thunder Run, they actually give you that sense of, oh, shit, I can't really see anything in front of me. If there is targets coming up here, the Abrams in front is producing this dust cloud that I can't see through. And they change the gameplay up for that. They tell you, like, tank crews have this problem. If you're looking through normal sights, you're going to have to use a different sighting system to see and find objective targets. You see it in the beginning of the gameplay with the smoke screen that comes through. You know, they fire smoke rounds all over the place, and there's a little bit of a sandstorm in that. But in this scene, you're actually getting it from the other vehicles punching up dust in front of you, and I absolutely love it because it's giving you the realism of what real tank crews have to deal with, and dust in a desert environment is just not only a killer to the tank's engine, but also a killer to those who just want to see ahead of them and see targets and drive where you need to go.
Roger. I see it. Moving right to left. Identify tank! T-72, engaging! Identify tank!
Now in this particular scene, we can debate on whether or not a T-72 would destroy an up-armored Abrams all day long till the cows come home. We're not going to go there. But the one thing that does give me a little bit upset in this particular scene is when a round's flying through the sky. First of all, you can see it flying Very, very slow time, which is fine. They're trying to create the cinematic of you actually being engaged. Of course, when they're firing a sabot at you, you're not going to see that round like that. That is almost like a traced heat or Hesh round. The sabot is coming so quickly at you, if it's firing a sabot, that is, that you're not going to see it like that. I see what they're trying to get at, though. It's trying to tell you, hey, that's a tracer coming towards you. You either dodge it or shoot back at it, which is fine. The other thing that upsets me a little bit, and I think you can change the settings, I'm not sure, is the target indicators, right? The target indicators shouldn't be there, the red pips. He's told you identify tank. He's told you as a commander or as a gunner, whichever you're playing as, primarily a commander, I think, which we've already had this discussion in the previous video, that there's tanks ahead. So you should just be then scanning your arcs and finding that target. The red pips just make it a little less, realistic, which is whatever. It's not a big deal. But when the round hits you, it would be nice if your sight could just be totally taken out. Just for 30 seconds, it's out for the count until it's repaired, quote. But yeah, you know what? It's an arcade. If you get hit, you either die or you just can get repaired and keep going.
They're running! Chase them down! There we go! Dust trail moving left. I see it. Don't push up! Watch your spacing! Ambush! Identify vehicle! Dead ahead! Fire! Fire sabot!
Now, this scene is kind of twofold for me in sort of positive and negative. We have tanks approaching from the right, sort of hand-railing from the right to left, and you're engaging them, which is great. But all of a sudden, you get ambushed from the left. Now, the tactics of whatever op4 that you're going against here is a little strange. You're exposing two tanks to be absolutely annihilated by an entire platoon of Abrams, but then you're going to put a bunch of tanks in the hull-down position on your left to ambush these Abrams. In my eyes, why would you not just put the other two tanks in the hull-down with the other four, making a six-pack of tanks in hull-down positions, nozzles exposed, allowing you to fully ambush these Abrams as they drive by, because clearly these two tanks ahead are going to get absolutely annihilated, whereas the other four have picked up a really nice position on this this berm coming up here, and have just completely capitalized on, you know what, you're not going to be able to engage us very well easily here. Well, they're Abrams, they can engage everything, but we're in hold down position, we're going to try and light you up.
Good shooting! Keep it up! Enemy pulling back! 3-3, watch yourself! They're baiting us in! Target destroyed!
Now, unlike Call of Duty, that is what a tank should look like when it's been destroyed somewhat, unlike the pancake version that I did in the Call of Duty Ghosts video review that we did in the past, where the tank is destroyed and just literally turns into a book that has been flattened. It's insane. They've done a really good job in the dynamics of the way that the tank explodes. The sounds in this game are just beautiful. Very well done. I really appreciate that they've taken some time, that it's not just, a carcass that turns into this stupid 2D, 3D image.
Nice shoot! Fire sabot! Watch the flank! Last tank! Way to go, Miller! 3-3, stay in formation! Identified vehicle, dead ahead!
See, and here, another thing that I always notice with this game and the missions is that you have time to breathe. They've given you some time to take realization of what's going to happen next. It's not just throwing you through a tunnel of chaos and expecting you to get to the other end. It's giving you some time to realize, oh, I actually have other tanks around me. This is what I've got coming ahead. Wow, I actually just knocked out 10 tanks. This is fun. I'm actually getting some engagement here. Instead of like, oh my god, got killed 6 tanks, there's 7 more coming, now 3 BMPs, now got 3,000 infantry. Oh my god, 3 people have just died from my team. Like, it's not that. It's like what normal warfare would be like. Unfortunately, fairly boring for the most part. very boring. It's rush and wait, and then all of a sudden it's just chaos, and then you have a breather again, and then it's chaos again. And that's what I see here, is, you know, you've just come across an entire platoon, close to regiment of tanks, you've destroyed them, and of course they're not just going to keep sending regiment upon regiment or platoon upon platoon of tanks. Now you're about to engage a convoy of vehicles that are trying to retreat with infantry or supplies or logistics or whatever else. That's what you want to see in a scenario like this, and that's why the campaign is just so well defined. It gives you some time to just realize what's going to happen next, instead of just throwing you into the mix and expecting you to rush through the game as quickly as possible. I would rather play a campaign that takes 5 days to complete through and through than a day that is just rushed with action. I like traveling across the desert in my tank for a couple of minutes, just looking at the scenery. I mean, look at that backdrop. It's beautiful. It's beautiful.
All Anvil elements, engage and destroy enemy convoy before proceeding. How copy? Roger. Line 'em up, Miller. Shit! Enemy tanks! Left sector! Can't jump over first! Focus on the tanks!
So AI is one of those things that I don't really want to debate too much here, but this is the first scene that was a little disappointing on how stupid the AI is. The tank literally just drives, does a 90-degree right wheel, and then just gets annihilated from a 120mm saber through the side of it. Doesn't make too much sense. I would wish they would engage from a longer distance. For instance, the hillside to the left here, where the smoke-ready symbol is. They could engage from over there. As you're taking out their convoy, they're kind of using them as bait again and engaging you from distance, instead of just punching over a berm, turning right and being like, I guess I'm dead. Also, the infantry, in the most part, seem to be running away in the convoy, and that's really good. Like, the infantry aren't going to be like, okay, well, we're going to stay and fight. Some of them stand around and try and hold their ground, but the rest of them are like, I'm out of here, making a run for it, which is pretty cool. Normally, AI would just like, yeah, we'll just keep going. A couple of tanks in the background also sort of push away. I'm a little disappointed in the infantry still putting tracer rounds down on you, but you know what? It gives you some fun coax targets to engage for a little while, and but again, you'll see that the AI is just absolutely ridiculous in this scene, and you know, at one point the soldier's just kneeling down, staring the other direction as a coax shooting at him. It's like, come on guys, you could have a little bit more effort into that. One thing I really like about this particular mission, well, is the air support that you get. You know, the Cobras flying over and all that good stuff. The sound effects that they have are extraordinary, especially with your surround sound going on, the Dolby surround sound, with the helos flying over the top, you know, and doing the engagements. But it's also the fact that when the helos fly, you're getting that dust cloud beaming over the top of you with the rotor wash. And when they're pulling out of their, you know, engagement and they're egressing out, they're actually popping flares, similar to what any other helo would do when it's going into an engagement. It's just very, very good depiction, I think, of air support to an armored group like this. It just looks really, really good.
fine with me, man. M66, 3-4, we're at checkpoint tarmac now.
Roger, continuing mission, out.
Alright. Stay focused. Look at this shit. Why are we cutting across the desert? It's crazy. Because they told us not to. M66, this is 9-9, at checkpoint. Over.
So this scene is kind of strange to me, and I'm a little surprised they put it in there, and I see what they were getting at to try and relate to a real-world experience, but when you do games, you have to be a little careful about how you do this. This particular scene is really, and it's very subjective, is really kind of trying to poise it towards depicting the scene of the Highway of Death, which is basically a highway in Iraq that was absolutely annihilated by airstrikes. You see it in the movie Jarhead. Of course, in realistic terms, there's a lot of footage and a lot of pictures out there of the highway itself. There were, convoys of American and British that went by these husks of vehicles and bodies, and it's pretty savage. It's pretty rough. I was surprised they put it in this game. It's not, for some people it might be a little triggering. For others, it's like, I have no idea, it's just a blown up highway. Is what it is. I'm not trying to sort of appeal to the PTSD side of things, but it was very gnarly. It was a very rough time. I have spoken to people who have traveled through that particular route during the conflict in Iraq, and they did see some really horrible things. So, and I know it's a video game, and I understand that's not what they're trying to link this to, but it's borderline trying to do that. And it is what it is. But I always think that maybe when they're creating games like this, they think about it a little bit more, because it is a little sensitive. But you know what? I'm not triggered. It's not offensive to me, but I can see how some people could be a little bit when going into this kind of gameplay and seeing that and thinking, yeah, it's a little bit much, Battlefield, a little bit much there.
Roger, 3-4, you are clear to falter. Forward set, out.
Now, the thing I really like about this scene is the fact that you're able to dismount and actually get some infantry gameplay in there, which is really nice too, because in reality, as tankers, they're not just tankers. They have to relate to any kind of combat that they're going into, whether it be infantry, armored, blah, blah, blah. And it's nice that you can get into the fight a little bit, get some rounds down range, and get into a new dynamic, which we're going to see in a minute in gameplay, in terms of breaching, which is really, really cool, using the Python and the explosives. But I don't know if any of you noticed with the Anvil 6-6, the commander of this platoon of Abrams, or, company of Abrams, is telling you, as one of the vehicle commanders, to get ahead, find out what's holding his company up. And if you notice, he refers to a certain body appendage that relates exactly the same kind of setup as the bridge in Generation Kill in the invasion of Iraq in 2001. Let's just take a quick look at that scene, and you'll know exactly what I'm talking about.
City. Our problem has been refueling the tank.
Not only no, Colonel, but fuck no, okay? I don't give a rat's ass about the resistance in this city. Your mission is to punch through this city, but RCT 1 North of where our objectives are. This is just a fucking sideshow. You got 7,000 Marine riflemen who've been ready to go for the past 24 hours, and you're staying here with your foot in your dick. No, check that. Not your dick. My dick.
Fucking PLR ambushed us. Shot us to shit before we were ready. I just need someone to get to the trigger to detonate. Somebody's gotta get out there, but it ain't gonna be me.
Now, here's the most frustrating part of the entire mission. Setting up the Python or the breaching system to launch the projectile explosives onto the floor to blow up the minefield ahead is really, really cool, and I love the fact that they put it into this mission. But the fact that you can see the connecting wire to that unit being trailed into the distance to where you're kind of being guided to the unit really upsets me, that you're using now a clacker or a claymore clacker to release and fire that system. That just wouldn't happen. And maybe I'm wrong. I'm not a breacher. I'm not an engineer. I'm not worked with that system before. I've seen it work in Badders in Suffield. British Army Training Unit Suffield, they fire it with the Challenger 2 system for Trojan and Titan. But for this particular setup, it just doesn't make any sense why a radio-controlled system would be used in this kind of setup with the clacker not being with the crew, or at least not being connected by the wire that's been trailed behind it. Very, very strange setup, but I guess what they're trying to do with the game is, again, give you that exposure to some risk and some infantry attack. It's a really nice scene. It's just a little kind of strange that they allow you to have to pick up this clacker off the back of the vehicle. It's a little odd. And considering that RPGs are launching all over the place, and they have an exposed trailer that is full of explosives sat there in the middle of the highway, you'd think that the AI or the enemy would just blast it with RPGs because they know what's coming. It's full of bricks of C4 they're about to blow up their minefield. You think, maybe we should destroy that, otherwise the Abrams that are sitting right behind it can get through, and yet they just don't. It's just really, really strange.
Run, you son of a bitch!
Go ahead. Come on. Pull the trigger.
Good work.
Yeah, you ought to collect that guy's salary, dude. He just did his job. Get back in the tank, bro. Need you on the 50. Amble 3-4, advance on main road. Engage and destroy all enemy forces. Report when outside city limits. Out.
High Miller, advance!
Now, for this next scene, it looks absolutely badass. You're about to push into a town. You've got the Abrams crew on each side of the highway, and then a beautiful Apache comes on in to give it a little bit of fire support or air support ahead in the town. But what is very strange with this scene is all of a sudden you see also engaging the town is a fire mission. A fire mission with an Apache flying overhead. Now, I'm not sure if it's an enemy fire mission or if it's a friendly fire mission. Considering you're about to move into the town, I believe it to be a friendly. But you can see that the strikes are coming in right now, so that, the above HEDP rounds are smashing into the ground there. The Apache longbows flying over the top. That just wouldn't be the case. Fire missions would not be placed into an area like that with helicopters flying in so close range to that target. It's a little strange, but, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe Apaches are going to want to sacrifice a 155mm round punching through the top of their canopy.
Taking fire! Counter identified! RPG troops on our side! On the fucking left! Roofed it open! On the left! We're just a few clicks out. They're not gonna let us walk in. Stop that vehicle! Hit the RPG down first! Put it in the open!
So this is one of my favorite parts of this entire mission, is actually just being able to light up targets with the 50 cal. Lots of incoming tracer fire, RPGs. You know, your awareness around you on this highway is very high. You've got your coax of your gunner inside of the turret, just lighting up targets and firing the main gun. Really, really immersive, really cool, keeps you on your toes for sure. You know, the AI is a little ridiculous in this scene. You know, here's a gas station. How about we just run towards the gas station and set up our ambush from there? Yeah, I'm not too sure why that came to be. It's a really good effect. I know what the game's trying to do. You know, let's throw a gas station in there, because when he shoots it with the targets next to him, it's going to make a huge explosion look really good. And I'm all for that, for sure. It looks amazing. It looks really, really cool. I'm loving the fact that there is VIEDs or VBIEDs coming in, so vehicle-borne IEDs being driven around, which is very prevalent to both Afghanistan and Iraq, primarily Iraq, you know, in this sort of setting that they're pushing for, you know, Baza and all that sort of setup with VBIEDs coming in and trying to take you out. So, you know, putting a 50 cal rounds into a vehicle like that and it being blown up, it looks incredible. The sound effects of the 50 sound great. When you're putting too much rounds down, you know, your head spacing gets a little messed up, or your overheating the gun, and it kind of locks up. That's cool, so you're not just consistently spraying rounds all over the place. I would like to see a reloading animation on this, honestly. You know, just change a couple of boxes here and there. You get a 200-300 round box, you have to change it out. Not a huge deal, but the consistent ammunition being fed through it is a little strange, but a really, really cool scene overall.
This is insane.
Now this scene's kind of interesting with the Abrams being destroyed in front here by the VBIED, because it's a catastrophic kill. They even say that it's a K kill. The tank has been absolutely annihilated. But the strange part is that your 50 cal probably put about half a box of rounds into the side of that vehicle, and yet it did not get destroyed. A little strange to me. You know, 5 or 6 50 cal rounds going through the side panel of a door is going to turn the driver into a milkshake. So a little odd that it continues going. Maybe, you know, it was left in a configuration where it just keeps driving. I know there's been setups where vehicles have been rigged to keep the accelerator down and just keep going. Maybe if you shot the engine block in this scenario, it would blow up. I don't remember if that would be the case. I've never shot the engine block at it blowing up. But the Abrams does get destroyed. It's a little strange for a VBIED to destroy a tank in that configuration at that range. The explosives would probably have had to kill us too, just from the shockwave. To K-kill a tank like that, you got to remember that unless it's an armor-piercing round or something that can create a projectile through armor of the Abrams, it'd be very difficult to annihilate the entire tank. It would probably blast off the tracks, destroy your engine bay, compromise certain areas of the hull, but for the tank to go K-kill like that would be pretty tough to say without us all dying with that vehicle too. The amount of explosives that vehicle must have had inside of it to destroy that Abrams would have to be a lot, and that's just my opinion. You know, I'm not an armor analyst. I don't know the specifics of how the Abrams armor works or whether or not a VBIED could destroy a tank, but that seems a little far-fetched. Maybe it could, but yeah, it's sad to see an Abrams blown up like that. Look at it burning to the left-hand side. And again, this footage is actually depicting the same kind of scenes that are happening in Iraq, where they're actually traveling down a highway and engaging in very slow speed. Vehicles just coming out of nowhere with IEDs inside of them, trying to destroy the convoy of Abrams. And the Abrams are just literally lighting up anything that moves in the vicinity towards them, because they are literally going into constant ambush for almost like 5 miles. Pretty intense stuff.
Stop that car! 6-6 is Amber 3-4. Engage and destroy VMS troops.
All Advil elements, stand by for mission reorientation. Wait out.
I wonder what's going on.
So there you have it, folks, the Battlefield 3 Thunder mission, and what a mission it is. I know I've critiqued it. I'm literally nitpicking at every instance. Like, there is no requirement for me to nitpick this mission. The only reason I'm doing it is just for the analytics for myself, just to kind of see, you know, what did I miss? Is there things that I didn't see? And it's bloody hard to critique this mission without telling myself, Matt, you're an absolute idiot. It's a game, it's an arcade. But even then, they still nailed every single key piece of making this game and the immersion of this mission perfect as a M1A2 Abrams crew member. It works perfectly. They've done very, very well to make it very, very nice to play and enjoyable to play, and I love playing it. I know a lot of you have told me this is their favorite tank mission they get to play in the Battlefield series. I know a lot of you have been asking me to play the World War II Battlefield system with the the Tiger tank mission, which we'll definitely look at in the future. But I had a lot of fun making these two videos, both part 1 and part 2. I hope you enjoyed them too. If you did enjoy them, please feel free to leave me a like. And if you want to see some upcoming videos, such as that Tiger Battlefield mission in the future, make sure you hit the little bell button by the subscribe button so you can be notified of any upcoming content. I also have a Patreon if you do wish to support my channel. I would really appreciate it, and thank you to each and every one of you who have been doing so far. Really, really does mean a lot to me. I honestly, it really cannot express how much your support to me is it's just amazing. Thank you. We're going to be producing a lot more content coming up in the next couple of weeks or so. We do have Remembrance Day coming, so we'll see if we can get some content relating to that coming up as well during this weekend. And thank you all for joining me today, folks. Have a wonderful day. Bye-bye.